You sure?
Did you do that on purpose?
Nope. Just how it happens.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, Matthew Russell, welcome to Real Estate Unfiltered. How you doing?
Glad to be here. Long-time listener. Not first time actually being on it.
No,
but
you were the first guest ever.
I was.
And I wasn't sure if I was going to actually post it or not. So, cheers to that.
You did post it, right?
I did.
I saw a version of it, but I was making sure you didn't just fake that for me.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
To being back on the pod.
Back on the pod.
It's pretty good.
Not bad.
Shout out to Christy, one of my clients who got me wine. Love a good wine gift.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a twist top, because I don't have to worry about an opener.
You're looking at it.
That is true. Okay, so let's get down to business. And everyone who is watching, no, I didn't tell him what I was going to talk about, and he has not told me what is on his phone, so I'm slightly nervous.
That makes it sound like it's not show notes and it's something else.
Well, I have show notes, but I don't know what you got, so.
We'll find out.
All right. So anyway, you ready?
That's right.
All right. So obviously I teased everyone with the big announcement. Do you want me to do a drum roll? Do you want to do a drum roll?
I've never seen you
Say
do a
that
drum
10
roll.
times fast.
I want you to do one.
Oh God. All right.
And then I reveal it. I guess it's the... Can you
Yeah.
do both? Can you drum roll and then...
I don't know if I can drum roll and hold a mic at the same time, but...
And I'm a real estate agent now.
Well, technically.
Yeah.
D4 still has been taking a little bit of time to get it all back.
That dreaded question 11. I tell you what. If I was applying for an inactive license, no, I'd like to be active. Ideally.
I'm so flippin' excited though. It's been, I mean, I've been bugging you ever since whenever I took the test and you basically could recite all the flashcards that I was having you quiz me. I was like, you should just take the test now because it's right in your brain. It's easy. Like, get it done. And you waited a whole year-ish, but you got it done. I'm super excited and proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah, there's rarely a lot in my brain, so I was glad that I was able to utilize some of that knowledge. So.
Oh my God. Hush your mouth.
Let's not be good for the pod if we do that.
Touche.
Thanks.
All right. Anyway, so announcement is, guys, he's passed his test and he's 90% licensed. We just have to wait for D4 to actually send it. Is that correct?
I'm basically legal.
You're basically
Is what I've
legal. Is
never said out loud, but it sounds good.
Well, cheers to that.
Cheers.
We're gonna be doing a lot of cheersing on this episode.
Clink it up. Cheers to real estate with my real estate.
Oh my God.
Hey.
Is that a dad joke or just like?
It's me hitting on you.
Oh, okay. I'll try not to roll my eyes next time.
I mean, do whatever you want.
I love you. Sorry, I'm sassy. All right. Anyway, so my next segue, not a great segue, but since now you are basically licensed and I'm licensed, I feel like the next thing that makes the most sense, we need to be a team. Will you be on my team?
I'm in.
1, 2, 3. We don't have a team name yet, so we need to figure that out.
That should be our team name.
1, 2, 3. We don't have a team name.
1, 2, 3. We don't have one.
Well, we were thinking the M&M team.
Yep.
But I kind of feel like that's cheesy and a little sweet.
But so are we. Both of those things.
But I don't.
It can be sour sometimes.
No, I meant sweet because of M&Ms.
I understand.
Okay.
Yep.
But the other thing we could do is just very simple and the Russell team. But I don't know. I feel like we need to kind of sit on it, think on it, mull it over.
Also what she said. I feel like the M&M team. I get the, of course, candy reference, and certainly if we lean into like any reference to like us being sweet or any sort of like word related to candy,
Mm-hmm.
might be a little too on the nose. but I kind of feel like I don't know, it flows well. Look good as a logo, as is a very important thing, of course.
I've definitely been testing some out. I get sucked into the Canva hole.
You're in a sea hole. I understand.
Doesn't sound right.
It's only.
But we're gonna move on.
Don't Google that.
Oh my god, this is taking a whole new Real Estate Unfiltered route.
I was told it was unfiltered. If you want to do a filtered episode, you should.
Right. Next time.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I actually get you show notes next time.
Cool. Give me wine. That's fine.
Well, Christy got us wine.
Thanks, Christy.
Again, thanks, Christy. So one thing I did kind of want to touch on from the outside looking in, since you are newly licensed, how do you feel the current real estate climate market is in the Roanoke Valley from what you've seen with me dealing with it? And also, I mean, you have a banking background, so it's not like you're completely shut off from it.
Well, in terms of the banking side of it, I more so work in the commercial side, although it is kind of helpful though that, what I work on is not just in Roanoke, but also in different areas, say Lynchburg, that sort of thing. But what's also nice is in terms of commercial loans, it can also be, say, 1 to 4 family, multifamily, that sort of thing, and not just like big industrial buildings. So that's been nice to be able to kind of just see that as a whole, certainly over the last like year, or even just these last couple months in this year, how it's been. But the biggest eye opener, I would say, has been just kind of like just talking with you, just kind of hearing the comings and goings of how it's been going for you, because you've also been working across Virginia. So I think that's been pretty representative of like, you work in this market and then you work in a different market, an hour plus away. But there's some shocking similarities though, a lot of that. So I feel like certainly around the Roanoke area, inventory's low. We already knew that. That's been the case for a while. And I feel like from what I've seen from you and anything I've heard in terms of like anybody else you've interacted with, you're still getting multiple offers. And I feel like you're really testing agents in terms of being creative with what the offer is going to be. So it's not just a flat out, it's between 2 people, give me your highest number, that's it. The cleanness or the cleanliness of the terms, sounds weird to say, is heavily important. Certainly if it's, subject to sale, what you're doing with inspection and appraisal and that sort of thing. I feel like that element of it, not saying it wasn't important before, but I think it's more important now than ever. And that's helped, I know it's helped you set yourself apart on a lot of stuff. And I'm sure a lot of agents have felt that same thing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And everything that you said, I just second all of it. Side note, if you hear barking, it's not me or Matthew, which you can clearly see. Well, Mookie didn't line that up well for you, but Mookie and Rex are in the basement. Because if you didn't see behind all of us, or I guess the screen behind everything, there's a lot of equipment that just don't even want to have to deal with Rex bulldozing through that. So,
yep.
But anyway, yes, I completely agree with you. I get asked all the time, is the market slowing down? Like, is it really slow? Are you not getting a ton of offers? Is everything sitting? Yes, things are sitting a little bit longer than what they used to, for sure. It's not like you have to run through and give an offer on your way out, and then you're up against 10 plus offers. But it definitely hasn't slowed to where you can get a deal at this point. So it's tricky, but the thing that I tell all my clients and anyone who is kind of looking into getting into the market, be creative, because just because you might not be the highest offer, if you have creative terms and depending upon what the seller needs, I mean, we've been able to beat out a couple, highest price offers, but we have better terms, so seller wants to go with ours. It just kind of depends.
And somewhat along those lines, something that I was curious about, I know that you've been in real estate for about a year and a half now,
Mm-hmm.
just about.
A year and 7 months, but I'm not counting.
Year and 7 months. And that's what I said. And what I'm wondering is, you started, when you started, I know you talked about, oh man, it would have been great if you'd have gotten a chance to start a year before that or so, when
Yeah.
the market was just so hot. And even from when you started to now, it's an even more different market. And maybe in a tougher way, tougher for an agent to, certainly if you're a buyer's agent, to really get deals done. But what I feel
Just ignore Mookie.
I know, right? But something that I was interested in was looking at it from, you're a little bit down the road in terms of like, get some experience, close some deals.
A smidge.
You've wheeled and dealed, if you will. I feel like this, and even when you were starting, is kind of like the ultimate time for a real estate agent to start. Not for the sake of like deals just come to you, they just get closed, it's easy, but because you actually have to kind of refine and hone your skills instead of experiencing the easiness and then a year or two later being hit with a tougher market where you're like, I'm not prepared for this.
Mm-hmm.
But trying to build brand awareness and that sort of thing in a market where not a lot of inventory, there's still a lot of agents, and that hasn't
Mm-hmm.
been cut down much yet.
A
So
little bit, but not hugely.
I feel like over the next year or so, it's like if inventory stays low, does that affect the number of agents in the area?
I think it definitely will.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think everyone has, and all the agents in the industry kind of talk about it. I don't know how true the statistic is. I feel like I might be, who is it, Michael Scott from The Office, with the statistic that I'm about to throw out, but I'm pretty certain it's like beginner agents don't last, within the first 3 years. Like a lot of them don't make it through, which I totally understand why, because it is a serious grind whenever you first start. Like, yeah, you're going to your cheesy way of explaining it, because everyone explains it this way, your sphere of influence, but you can only sell to your grandma, your mom, your dad, your sister so much, which I have done actually several times. But you can only do that so much. So then you're going to have to go to the next layer and the next layer and the next layer. And it's figuring out, okay, you're not really given a handbook on how to market yourself and get business. Like, you prepare, you take a test, you go over all these things, and then it's like, all right, sink or swim. So I totally understand, like, it's a tough market. Part of me wishes that I had started a couple years prior, but to be honest, the more that I've gone through it the last year and a half, I'm really happy I didn't start then, because it's really made me work for it and appreciate the deals that have closed and the relationships I have built. Yeah, I could probably go on and on, but I'll stop on that on my soapbox.
Well, no, I mean, kind of what you're pointing at too is, when you're starting, and if it's like within those 3 years, those are kind of like the formative years in terms of if you're going to remain an agent and how successful of an agent you're going to be. I would assume if you continue after 3 years, maybe depending on if it's a part-time thing, if you're able to maybe lean on another source of income, but if you go beyond 3 years, I'm not saying it means you're the best agent in the area for sales and revenue and everything, but I assume you're doing well enough and you have maybe referrals coming in and you have kind of a system that works for you. But I mean, it really is kind of like starting your business in a way, like you're talking about.
That dog, man.
Yeah.
We need a mute button.
It's not on here.
Do we want to take like a quick commercial break to go shove them outside?
We can surely do that.
All right. Commercial break, people. All right. Back from the Mookie break. He's probably going to start hitting the sliding glass door, but we'll take that challenge as it comes.
Yeah.
But anyway, were you talking last or was I?
I was the last one that I guess said like a question, but
Okay.
we kind of go back and forth.
I feel like we kind of covered that.
Yep.
And I would like to move on because I have a couple questions for the newbie right now.
Who's that?
I don't even know. Are Are we talking on a podcast right now?
It's probably recording.
I would be very upset if it's not recording.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah. I'm going to filter myself on Real Estate Unfiltered.
You'd be Grumpy Monkey.
Yes, I would be Grumpy Monkey.
Yep, read that book.
All those parents out there know exactly what we're talking about. All right, so first question. What was the hardest part of the test?
So there's the two different tests, with it being the national and the state. The state, by far, was the trickier one for me. And
I told you that too. I told you that the national one was going to be easier. I'm just saying. Go on.
Guys. But I think it was a little bit of two. So the state one is shorter.
Mm.
So, but it's of course just percentage based in terms of like what percentage you have to get correct. But then the difference between like, oh, I missed two, that like I was 2 away from say passing. It's like, oh, well, that is a percentage is much different than if you missed say 2 on the national. Like, you know, you need to have missed more on the national to be able to pass or fail. So
that's your accounting masters coming in handy.
Yeah, that's really helped. Yeah, with some of the stuff, you know, a lot of the things, even before studying, as more so on the national, I feel like a lot of it is fairly intuitive. Certainly, if you've owned a house, if you've gone through the process of buying, I mean, ideally and selling, some of it kind of makes sense. But when you get into the weeds, certainly of the state-specific stuff, and with how the questions are asked, a lot of the time, even when they create the scenarios, it's like, all right, I know this is this, and then they ask it in a certain way. It's like, is this what they mean? Because that's a weird way of asking it. It's almost kind of like, it's kind of worded in a way to trip you up, and it's like, I know you want to create a barrier to entry to get the license, but it's like, you don't just have to ask like a question in a weird way. It's like, if I understand the concept, just ask it a normal way. But yeah, you take it and you kind of work through it. You take practice tests, all that kind of stuff. You study, and certainly if you understand kind of like the rules and everything, then in whatever way they apply it in a question, you can suss out, you know, sometimes the thrown information is not really important to the question and that sort of thing. So it's a fun process.
I did find whenever I took it, from what I remember, there was always one that you could knock out, but I feel like other tests that I've taken, there was always 2, and it was always like, which one is it? For some of the questions, it really felt like, okay, either of these final 3 could kind of fit with how they were worded. So it was tricky. It was not easy. I'm not a test taker. So it's also impressive that you were able to go through that whole process while you were working, while you were doing your own podcast, and also while you were being an awesome husband and father. So kudos to you. I'm going to stop praising you because I don't want your head to get too big.
Or more hair to fall out. We don't need that.
We blame Finn for that, okay?
100%.
He is the reason why you have less hair.
I've aged rapidly since Finn. Let's be real.
All right, that's going to be a whole nother podcast in itself. So
that's your next question, isn't it?
No, it's not my next question. My next question is, why did you want to become an agent in the first place?
So real estate is always something that has just been interesting to me, but
no one saw that.
Nope.
Almost spilled so bad. Okay, continue. Didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Well, it's your podcast. Do whatever you want. You can filter me all you want. Didn't sound like Filter did it. But real estate is something that's always been interesting to me. But you know, I can credit my banking career that's almost a decade long at this point. That
old.
Very old. That has kind of piqued my interest even further to look at it from an investment standpoint. Because with me working on commercial stuff, you know, it is people that are building rental portfolios of 1 to 4 families stuff. It's multifamily, it's apartments, it's hotels, it's, you know, every part of the spectrum there. And it's very interesting just to kind of like, you know, learn more specifically about the Roanoke area and Salem and, you know, the surrounding counties and stuff. As I've told you before, growing up on my side of the county, it's pretty wild how you can grow up in a certain part of the county and you have your park, your grocery store, your gas station, like your school. So like the only time that I would go to other parts of like the county or Salem or the city was if it was a specific reason. So like sports or whatever. But otherwise that was about it. But then once you and I, we lived in different places. We lived in Salem next to the old Valleydale building. We lived down Peters Creek, which is still my neck of the woods, I guess, growing up. We lived in so many different places on this side of town, near Cape Spring. So we've gotten to experience a lot, like all of Roanoke, I would argue. And that was, that
Even
on
up to Blue Ridge, whenever we were looking at some houses.
Oh yeah, I remember even in that process, it was Blue Ridge to Glenver.
Yep.
In the same day. I think.
There was one in Glenver that I really liked. I actually really liked that one.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. But that kind of thing, like I got to experience it in banking from an investment side, and then you and I got to experience it of living in different places, just renting. But then once we got into the buying and the selling, not to necessarily flip, but us living in our third house now, it just kind of like worked out.
Forever home.
Forever home.
Correct that.
Yeah.
It's recorded, so.
Yeah, you bury me in the backyard. But it's been so cool just to live through that process and just see different areas, have different experiences of a couple different transactions on the buying and the selling side. And I've always wanted to, as I've seen more of Roanoke, I've seen just the sheer difference in types of houses, even if you're just looking at 1 to 4 family. There's so many different styles of house.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. And, being going to different places and stuff, it's like, it feels like there's only like a couple styles that are maybe notable in certain areas, but you can find almost anything here.
Mm-hmm.
Some is more plentiful than others, but like
you can even find a Spanish style house in Grandin.
I know exactly.
Literally,
yeah.
Was it on Warrington? No.
There's one on Windsor.
I think there's another one I'm thinking of too.
Is there?
But literally, like even a Spanish style house, and you're just like, really?
But that's so cool. Like it's
yeah.
Like my thing was like, I've always been interested in like let's see, they've been redoing a lot of buildings kind of along the railway for Norfolk Southern, and seeing a lot of those older like manufacturing buildings and that sort of thing. I've always I see those, and even if it's not like they're trying to sell it and it's not in operation currently, like
the one by the Moe's Starbucks that we passed through.
I've been so interested by that.
God.
I think that was the old furniture. No, that was not that one.
I love the character of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
That kind of thing just has me so interested. Like
make it into either apartment buildings or like a random YMCA, or like that one idea that our buddy has of, oh my God, I just came up with the best idea. He could have the cigar lounge there.
It'd be a big one.
It'd be huge. It'd be awesome. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
Yeah, so just all that. It's just.
This is your question to answer, so I'm sorry.
No, it's not. Don't put that on me. But no, it's just real estate itself is so interesting when you just kind of look at it. But then once you get deeper into it and actually experience it, whether it be directly and buying and selling an actual house to live in, or if it's on the banking side, on the investment side, and just kind of seeing how cash flows work, how that process is, and how someone can build a portfolio that is not over leveraged, and kind of do it the smart way and do it in a way that's it's safe, but also real estate I do think is an incredible investment for really anybody, even if it's your own home that that's going to be likely your biggest asset in your life, or someone that's trying to build a portfolio of additional properties. So
I mean, honestly, I feel like it's safer than the stock market personally. Yeah. As long as a couple caveats to that, but as long as it's in a desirable location that doesn't usually lose value, it just continues to appreciate because of how many people want to actually get in there.
Well, this area specifically is, I think, fairly insulated. Mm-hmm. It's not like a big metropolitan area where it's huge peaks and valleys of that sort of thing.
Well, I mean, also medical kind of runs the location too, between Carillion and Lewisville.
Yeah.
So definitely helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then also you have Virginia Tech that's not far away.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I have a couple other questions for you. I liked that answer though. So basically, just it as a whole is what kind of intrigued you and what made you want to become an agent?
Yeah, because I mean, a big piece of it too is it would be great for when I think about like you and I growing a investment portfolio ourselves, but then I think about I do I would like to go on that journey with other people.
Not just me.
No, I don't mean invest with other people.
I mean
I'm playing. Yeah, pass. Just me and you, baby. But yeah, it's just so interesting. I know the joy that maybe we get in talking about it, but also getting to, move into a house and talk
Mhm.
about DIY projects and that sort of thing.
Gripe about what the previous seller did or didn't do.
And if anything, the amount of stuff that we've learned about, again, even before you became an agent, the things that we learned about housing through the different processes of living in different houses, different ages, different areas, that kind of thing. I think it would be silly not to share that experience with other people in a way to help them. So,
No, I completely agree. I mean, our first experience, like we have another podcast about the crazy roller coaster of our first purchasing of a home, which we ended up representing ourselves in the end for that one. But after that, honestly, like, gotta give major props to Joe Kraft because for the second home, well, first he helped us sell our first home.
Yep.
Didn't expect it to go under contract that quickly. And then we were like, oh crap, we need to find something right now. I literally remember being in the car with him and Thomas and for 8 hours, but we started the day of him picking me up. We were driving through like off of Wasina, and he saw Kimberly Payne, which I absolutely adore her. I didn't know her at the time, but he's like, when is that flip done? And we hadn't even looked at any other houses. And then the rest of the next 7 hours, I think, I literally went and looked at houses and I was like, no, 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 no. I'm just so curious about that one that she was flipping. And if we hadn't had gone with him and trusted him and gone through the process, and then he connected us with Kimberly, and it was just, I mean, that house was kind of like a huge stepping stone. We got very lucky with our very first house, but I feel like our second house kind of set us up for success. So yeah, major props to Joe for kind of explaining that process with us, and Thomas too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop on that because I feel like that would be a great thing to kind of explain on another episode. Just kind of going off of like why it's good to have a real estate agent on your side whenever you're buying, because that wasn't even on the market. Oh, and Mookie's up at the door. But anyway.
commercial break.
I think commercial and Mookie break, yes.
Cheers.
Cheers
To Mookie breaks.
to Mookie breaks. All right, so I have 2 questions left for you. So do you want to change it up, and I feel like you have a couple questions for me, or do you want me to go ahead and get all of mine out of the way?
I want to ask one more.
You want to ask one more? That's it? Okay, go right ahead.
So,
I'm nervous.
it's funny because we've touched on them, but I want to go a little deeper. I should think about how I say things. Yeah.
No, I think you think about it. You're like me with a 13-year-old boy brain. And that's okay.
Shoot 13-year-old boys. Anyway.
On that note.
We've kind of talked about investment real estate.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not so a personal residence. I consider that to be an investment too, because, even if you're living in it, doesn't mean it's not an investment.
The amount of money we put in our current home.
Yeah.
Huge investment.
And between if you're growing an investment real estate portfolio, rental, if you're doing flips, that sort of thing, how important that is. I think a lot of people only think of the buying and selling their own home that they're living in kind of side to it. And I understand it's a big undertaking in terms of buying your own house is going to be likely the biggest purchase for most people in your life. So then thinking, oh, I'm going to save up for this. I'm going to be able to pay for this. And then I'm going to save up even more to make another down payment to then support another thing. And it's a daunting task for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But if I even, look at our house, so we've been this house for about 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And conservative estimate, it's grown about at least 8% per year in just appreciation, completely not counting windows, HVAC, all the kind of stuff that we've done, deck, all that. So the importance of real estate. Yeah, it's somewhere in here. I don't know where it is. Might be in the beams. Yeah, just the importance of real estate as an investment. And honestly, specifically shout out to the Roanoke area. It's a pretty affordable area,
It's incredible.
but a good area in the sense of like it's affordable, but it's also there's a lot that it offers. So it's not like there aren't the shops and the good schools and the parks and a lot of the things where like it's a great place to raise a family, but it's also there's enough places where it can just be going downtown and just
You can get where you need to go easily.
Yeah.
Hop on 81, get to Northern Virginia quickly. You go south, get to North Carolina. Like Charlotte's what, 2.5 hours away?
not even. I think it's two.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
Smith Mountain Lake close by.
That has a piece of my heart. One day.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I'm derailing your question. Your build up.
I'll build it. So yeah, just you talking about just the importance of real estate as an investment, whether it be just as a personal residence or just if you're building a portfolio, how important that is.
It's incredibly important. I mean, it's cheesy. The next two things I'm going to say, but like I feel like everyone is hearing, the whole, if you're renting, then you're paying 100% interest, and if you buy, at least it's 5, 6 right now, some in the 7%. But I mean, you actually get to build wealth and like something that like is yours. Honestly, the hardest part is buying the first one. The hardest part, because you have to make sure that you have the down payment plus the closing costs. But after that, like you can put that equity that you've built in that one into your next purchase. But I mean, it's just, I feel like I'm going to go on a tangent if I really like open it up.
Crack it open.
But no, we don't have
like a coconut.
we don't have enough time for that on this one. But it's just, it's the coolest feeling being an agent and helping someone purchase their first home or a home that they didn't think they could ever afford. And then also like them being in a good spot that they're not house poor, because that's one thing I always stress too, is like, yeah, you can max out your budget. How are you gonna fill it? You're not, I mean, you're gonna be, what is he doing? Sorry guys, Mookie is just wild right now. So squirrel moment, Mookie moment, whatever you want to call it. But it's incredible to kind of see folks go through that process and be able to purchase something they didn't think they would be able to do, whether they're a first-time home buyer or not. But building equity in something that's yours, you can't beat that. And with how the economic climate is right now, I mean, all these big tech companies are going through layoffs and stuff like that, and it's terrible. I mean, my current company already did one big layoff, and they might be doing another one. So there's problems with it, and there's stuff that's going on in the market. But honestly, not in the housing market, at least from what I've been seeing in the Roanoke markets, and the Charlottesville markets, and the Northern Virginia markets. And the biggest reason is because the demand is just so high and the supply is so low. Like, if it was reversed, like in 07, 08, and you had a huge influx of so many properties on the market, I mean, of course it's going to be a buyer's market. It's not right now. So yes, you might be I know I'm going all over the place, but you might be paying a little bit more than you might like to, but 5 years from now, you're going to be sitting pretty, especially if you bought for location and size. Like, I'm not saying buy, something that is going to make you fully in debt and, you can't fix it up, but you really do want to try to buy the worst house in the best neighborhood. And that's where you're going to see the best return. The other best return that you're going to see is at minimum location. You can change it a crap ton with the house. You can change size, you can change landscaping, you can change all of that stuff. You can never change location.
Yep.
And that is what is going to get you the most return on your investment. And it's silly because I know whenever I'm going through talking with someone with how long are you going to stay here? Oh, we're going to stay here 5 years. And in my head, I'm like, I said that for my first 2 homes. We did not do that. But that's also by our choice. It's not like we had to move because of a job or because of family. We moved mostly because of size of what we wanted. And having a kid, he comes with a lot of stuff. And it's one of those things where if you go into it and having the worst case scenario of, okay, worst case scenario, I have to sell in a year. If what I pay for it, is it projected that I should be fine? And you can at the very least get out without owing anything. You should be good. In a perfect world, you're going to be getting something. In this market right now, if you're a seller, you're going to be getting something. As long as you price it out right the first time. I'm going on several tangents that I'm recognizing, so I'm going to stop while I'm ahead. But yes, it is an incredible investment to do. Many reasons why you should do it. Top reason is you have equity in something that is fully yours, and you're not building someone else's equity in it. Did I answer your question?
I think you did.
Okay.
You answered all of them.
So sorry.
But no, I wanted you to ask your 2 questions.
I'm very excited.
Go for it.
I'm honestly more excited for the game that I came up with in 2 seconds, but
cool.
Anyway, final 2 questions. First question. Anything you are nervous about starting this new venture?
I guess the broad answer would be the unknown. Of course, it's something I've never done before, of being an agent. So
You're excited of the unknown? That terrifies me.
I thought you said nervous about. Is that not the question?
Yeah.
I'm nervous about that.
Oh, duh.
Yeah. So I'm nervous about the unknown in the sense of like, it's a nervous excitement though. I mean, if it's something I've done a bunch of times, if it's something I want to do, you could still have a little bit of nerves to it, but like you get more familiar. So with it being something, of course, we've gone through the process of buying and selling a house. You've gone through the process of being an agent and being on both sides of it as well. And I've of course spoken to you about those, but I myself have not yet been an agent being in the middle of going through that stuff. So I can kind of see it even like with you, like as up close as I guess I could be without being an agent already, but I don't know what that really feels like until being one. So just the unknown of that, but excited to experience that and grow from there. So
I guess my reaction was more so because like your answer while you said like nervous of the unknown, it also I could feel the excitement that you have with it too, which honestly is kind of a good thing because it means you care. If you weren't nervous or excited or some type of emotion, it'd just be like, whatever. But I think that was where my reaction was coming from. But no, I've had the same feeling as what you just described the first couple months too. Honestly, still now, because there's still a lot that I don't know even after a year and a half. Which is kind of the exciting part though, because like you're never bored. ever bored in this industry.
Well, and if I can expand on that too. So
you're allowed. I'll allow it.
Courtroom. You heard it. Move to strike. So
I object. Wait, was I supposed to do that or no?
I don't know if you can.
Okay.
We need a judge.
Anyway, go on.
So in my experience I have a podcast that's about to be the 70th episode.
By the way, that's a small humble brag from this man. It's incredible seeing him on his Father Dynasty podcast. So that you just want me to plug that, but I'll plug it. Father Dynasty, you need to check it out.
I'm going to plug self-deprecation in the fact that you know me.
I do.
The fact that I would voluntarily choose to host a podcast, certainly if it's me, a lot of it is me talking with people I'm newly meeting them, but oftentimes I'll have, some of my buddies on, but if it's meeting the new people, I've maybe interacted with a little bit on social media, but this is the first time talking with them, I guess, in person, remotely. And it's a big undertaking and something I'm not, my first instinct is not to do that. If I didn't have a podcast, I probably wouldn't be doing that. But it's something that I know the process will it'll sort itself out, and all I can do is go in there and be as prepared as I possibly can, and just have a positive attitude. So I'm hoping I can apply a lot of those principles to that for real estate.
There's going to be times where it's going to be really hard. But luckily, you are not someone that lets a lot get to you. And if you do, you do not show it.
It's the hair.
It's the hair.
Stress makes it fall out.
It just goes to the hair.
Yeah.
Okay.
That and grocery. But yeah, go ahead.
I think you're going to be totally fine. All right. This is more of a fun question.
Oh, I love a fun question.
What is the first thing that you want to buy with your first commission that you make? I'm so excited to hear this because I have not asked you this before. Big or small, it doesn't matter. That's also what she said. Sorry.
She would never say that. So I have two options I can go with here.
Okay.
One would be, it's almost like a thing for me, but kind of for Finn as well. I could get a new toy car of the car that I eventually want to buy in all cash down the road for my career, and buy that as a toy for him. I understand he's likely going to destroy it in like 3 minutes. But
I would say 2.
Yeah. But as a thing to be like, it's obviously going to be like not an expensive thing to get it, but it's a cool way of being like, this is going to be what I'm going to get. This is a way to share it with him in a way that I know he loves toys, so why would he not love it?
He loves cars.
He does love cars. So
Cars and dinosaurs, man.
it would just be a cool way to just to kind of to do that, and it embodies what the future would be in a way that is.
Did you just think of that, or have you thought about that for a while?
No, you just asked the question, so I thought of that. I've honestly not thought of what the first thing I was going to buy.
Okay.
But
I love that, though.
Thank you.
What is the car that you want to buy in all cash whenever you reach that point in your career?
I mean, it's between 3, just as like generic ones, but
No, the number one, first, like, if you had to pick right now. 1, 2, 3, go.
and if money wasn't an issue,
Yes. No. Well, money isn't going to be an issue because you're going to be at that status in your career. 1, 2, 3, go.
Ferrari,
Ferrari.
100%.
Okay.
But I think I would probably start smaller than that. It'd be
No, go big or go home.
some cute little car like a Lotus Elise or something like that.
Okay.
It's adorably small.
I don't know what that is, but
It's
Ferrari, I have a rough idea.
yeah, or a Ford GT.
Okay.
It's also really expensive, but yeah.
All right, so that was the first thing. It's either that or
It's really tough because I'm not really someone who just like
buy stuff.
Sure.
I know.
Yeah.
I have to. I'm like, we're getting you new shoes. We're getting you new pants. We're getting you new socks.
honestly, it could just end up being something for supporting the Father Dynasty podcast. I don't know what that would be.
Okay.
Because a lot of that stuff is where I just do it as simply as I possibly can, but over the time it's been trying to grow it. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Probably something with that.
I like both of those though. I feel like honestly you could do both. Because if you're buying a cute little car, that's more of a way to remind you of what you're working towards. I mean, that's not a huge expense, and even with what you need for Father Dynasty for that podcast. I mean, you have a lot of stuff, so
Yeah.
luckily it wouldn't be something massive.
It's not expensive to keep that up. So
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. That's cool.
Mhm.
All right.
do you want to know like a super just like a material thing to say though?
Yeah. Of course I do.
Probably if it was a sports jersey, would probably be something I would get for myself. It would either be a Tim Biakapatuka jersey for the Carolina Panthers or a Manny Ramirez jersey.
Well, now you're going into 4 things that you're going to buy with your first commission.
Mhm.
I asked you
I guess
for
I need
one.
4 commissions.
Wait, do that link again?
Everybody was like, oh my God, there's that many crow's feet on there? Yeah. Yeah, there is.
Oh my gosh. All right. Before we get into the game, Any other questions for me?
Will you show me the way to real estate success? That's the main thing. It's a yes or no.
It's a maybe because I don't even
Hey.
know. I don't even know if I have that like the path forward to success.
More than I have.
Not wrong.
I've got a brick wall in front of me. You at least have like a solid gravel path at a minimum.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Like tamped down gravel, like real nice.
Tamped
Not loose gravel where it's just like spitting everywhere. It's tamped down.
that's such a dad thing to say.
Oh, I tamp, right?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, yes, you can come along for the ride. I don't know if I'm going to be that helpful.
You're already very helpful for me. So
You're very sweet, and you have a lot of faith in me, and it's a lot of pressure.
it's lettuce here, so I think we're good.
What?
It's lettuce here, so I think we're good.
Oh, it's lettuce here.
Mhm.
Okay, it all ran together in my brain.
That's what my words do sometimes.
All right, on to the game.
Yep.
So everyone knows this game. I'm just going to do it by letters. You can look it up. M.F.K. But it's Real Estate Shows Edition.
Pass.
No, you can't do that.
Sorry,
You can't
okay.
pass yet.
I don't understand. Got it. Go ahead.
Okay, so the 3 shows that you have to choose from
Mhm.
to figure out if you're going to M, F, or K are. Are you ready?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Wait.
Oh, okay.
Go.
All right. $1 Million Listing LA.
Mhm.
Married to Real Estate. Or Selling Sunset. So, what are you going to M, F, or K?
K would be Selling Sunset.
I knew
It's really not that hard.
I knew that you were going to do that. Okay.
100%.
But why?
It's not a good real estate show.
Okay.
It's a reality show that they happen to be in houses. It's not a good real estate show.
Okay.
That's before I'm even an agent.
You don't like seeing the houses on it, though?
I do, but I think I would get that more from the one I would marry, which is $1 Million. Because you get to see the houses and you get the personalities.
Mhm.
So you get a bit of both. And as we had semi-recently rewatched the entire show
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning, because I'd never seen from the beginning. I forgot at what point I started watching with you, but it was deep enough in it. Like it was, I missed the first couple of seasons, I think. So it was interesting to see that, how everything kind of develops with all the relationships and stuff. But that's the best of both worlds, and that would, of course, lead to effing the other one, which that one's growing me. We watched that.
Yes.
That one's pretty cool.
Mhm.
But I guess probably because it's like I haven't seen enough of it yet. Like there hasn't been enough of it yet, like out.
2 seasons, and each of them have at least 10 episodes. I know the second season has 12.
But that show's awesome.
Yes.
I feel like it was like the first episode I watched with you. I was like, this is a good show. Like
Mhm.
you can immediately tell.
I agree.
The dynamic is awesome. So
I feel like their dynamic is kind of similar to ours.
Yeah, agree.
Like, we're sassy back and forth, but we will help out each other in any facet that we possibly can. Whether it's
it's how to
like,
communicate. Yeah, it's just like we just joke with each other in that way, but it's not like bringing things to a screeching halt or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would M, $1 Million Listing.
Mm-hmm.
You would F, Married to Real Estate, and then you'd K, Selling Sunset.
Yeah.
Okay. Honestly, that's exactly what I thought you were going to do.
Would you do the same? Or would you? Yeah.
I think so, yeah. Yeah. Because while I love Selling Sunset in the sense of the incredible, crazy houses, and then also, not gonna lie, the fashion of the agents that they have,
True.
It's not realistic.
Yeah.
At all. Honestly, $1 Million Listing isn't really realistic either because it's not like, at least where we are currently at, that's what we're doing.
Mhm.
But we're also in a completely different side of the market than what they are in LA. But being able to see their dynamic of the agents on there,
Mhm.
they are actually true agents that are working. Yeah, I think that's a better depiction of it, but you still get at least for me, because I love all the trash TV. You still get the reality TV aspect of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Married to Real Estate though, I like it because it looks a little bit more true to the actual process.
Mhm.
It's hard because it's like all these shows on HGTV are being like, oh yeah, in an hour it shows something that probably went on for months of setbacks, of permits, of figuring out if they got the house, if they didn't. Half the time, all the staging that they do doesn't actually stay.
Yep.
So, Married to Real Estate kind of seems like one of those that is at least a little bit more true to what the process is actually like.
Yeah.
Like the $1 Million Listing LA. How many times do those deals fall through because of inspections? That is what I want to know. That is my number one question for them.
I can only remember one. I don't know if it ever ended up falling through, but there was a water issue in one house where I remember, like, when you walk in, I forgot if it was like it wasn't a wine cellar. It was maybe it was like a wet bar or something like that it wasn't an issue before, and I want to say it was, I think it was one of Flag's listings where it was like going in and then it just became an issue. Like, it wasn't before, and then I forgot what ended up being, like, how they fixed it, but
I feel like
something like that. But usually that's never focused. It's more just like,
no.
Yeah, just dealing with difficult clients because they kind of make it seem like
it's dealing with the agent. It's the drama between the agents.
Yep.
It's the celebrity clients.
Yep.
It's the incredible homes, and it's how much commission they're actually making.
Yep.
Like, it's those four things.
It's a glamour.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of, like, struggle, I guess, of, like, the back and forth with the clients.
I feel like what you're like remembering is like within the first 5 seasons.
Yeah, it was early.
Yeah.
Yeah, more recently.
They don't really talk about that. So that is one thing that the next season that they do, I want to say it's season 14 because they just had 13.
I think so.
I want them to include that more.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as an agent, I am very curious about that.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I got.
Same.
Well, thank you for being on my podcast again. You're going to be on it a lot more now.
Thanks for having me on the couch.
I think I like this setup. And I think we need to try a different bottle of wine each time.
Cool. Wait, we can't have tequila?
I'm not going to do tequila. No.
Whatever.
You can do tequila.
I will. Hey, I will.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining another episode of Real Estate Unfiltered. Keep an eye out. I have a couple folks lined up. One is actually a loan closer at a title company, and then another one is a fellow agent, but based out in Lynchburg. So super excited to talk with both of them. And yeah, just stay on the lookout for other episodes. Also, if you liked any of this craziness with all the Mookie breaks and banter between a married couple, please like, subscribe, share, all the fun stuff. And we'll see you another Saturday night at like 10 p.m. Have a great one.